This is the most important video I have ever made. We're going to talk about what it's like to be a person of color going to a historically white institution, theater school, and how to survive. Competition. Because of the tokenization that happens, sometimes it feels like if there are other people in your program that like check all the same boxes as you, it can get really easy to start seeing them as competition. And it is so important to not internalize that.
I have a very dear friend who is now working in LA, and we are actually quite similar as far as type. We are both mixed. We're both light-skinned Black women. We have curly hair. I mean, if we were living in the same place, we would probably be going out for the same things. And as a matter of fact, when we did live in the same place, we were going out for the same things. But there has never been any competition between us because we honor and respect and love the fact that we see each other's differences while bonding over our similarities. Does that make sense? Like,
yeah, totally.
And I think that's what needs to be encouraged, especially in university settings, that we can bond over our shared experiences as BIPOC folks living in America, because that's deep, but also honoring and respecting and sharing the ways in which we're all so different, beautifully different.
And also on like a very practical note, by the time you get to senior year and you're doing a showcase, which is like the first time that you perform in front of the whole industry for casting directors and agents, the name of the game with Showcase is to showcase each student individually. And these programs are used to finding like 17 different flavors of blonde girl to like make everyone stand out in their own thing. But because they just don't have that much experience with doing this with people of color, it is important to say, you know what, for 4 years, I'm gonna spend the time to figure out like how I am myself and none other, regardless of race, so that by the time we get to showcase, I know who I am, and I know how to make myself stand out in my humanity more than just like, well, this is the one Black girl song and who's gonna take it because there's two of us.
Right.
You know what I mean?
That's
like,
exactly.
This is not gonna serve anyone, and the faculty is going to be slow in helping with that aspect just because they don't have 20 years of experience doing that yet.
I think it's really important for people of color to do away with like archetypes, like these ideas of like, this is what a nerd looks like, this is what a jock looks like, this is what girl next door looks like, and realize that there are like layers to that shit, that like one person's nerd is not another person's nerd. I think like, and I've said this to you like in a completely different situation, like you are a quirky comedian. People look at me as being a weird, funny, quirky comedian. Our style of comedy is nothing alike. So we could go in for the same type of character and bring something completely different. And then the pressure is off because it's like, you're not trying to fit anybody's box. You're just being like, this is what I got. Either you like it or you love it. You know what I mean? Like, this is what I'm bringing to the table. And then the pressure for competition and all that shit goes out the window because it's not about me competing with Aline. It's not about me trying to out-quirk Aline. It's about me trying to show them, here, like, either you want the steak and eggs or you want the pancakes and strawberries. Both of them are delicious. You know what I mean? So.
And to start trusting that, like, for example, if we went in for the same role and it's a breakdown that says, you know, a Latinx woman, I would say we both have that by waking up. And there is no need to, like, put that on as like, you know, the nails or the hoops. Like, what does that even mean? You're just by showing up, you are that. Form your family. A really beautiful thing that I saw happen with your generation was that you really formed a family with the increasingly diverse peers that were accepted into Michigan. And I would love to ask you, like, what that was like.
Being surrounded by like chosen family is truly one of like the things that gets me through, whether it's in a work environment, school environment, personal life, just in general. And I think it's so important to find a family that looks like you and can share similar experiences with you and see you for who you are and really be there to support you and build you up. And sometimes that may not be in your theater department, and that is okay, because usually these programs are in like, a larger school setting. So if that requires you to branch out, I think that's really important. And I think that's only going to enrich your life and enrich your work and your college experience.
Code switching. Look, code switching is a magical power. And I think it is extremely lucky that some of us grew up like being able to speak two languages basically, or being straight up like bilingual, bicultural, However, it is very important to start discerning for yourself when you are doing it because you want to speak differently, or when you are doing it to make the other people in the room comfortable with you speaking this way. You know what I mean?
I mean, just in these past months alone, I feel like a lot of my friends, we've all been unlearning lots of things that it's enriched in anti-Blackness, and it's this idea of, I can't speak up, or else I'm gonna be perceived as angry, or I'm gonna be perceived as ungrateful, which is a big thing we talk about in our industry. It's like this idea that we're not supposed to, on one hand, we're definitely not supposed to speak up, but then if you do, and oftentimes it's a lot of Black people, and I'll take it even further, lots of Black women who have the courage to actually speak up, and then it's, they're met with, they're just angry, the angry Black woman. It's like, it's such a thing that like, that, we walk into every space with, and like we carry that with us, and it's, all that to say, it's, I've been lucky enough to be in spaces where Black people haven't had to code switch, and they haven't had to, walk on eggshells and not be themselves, and it's my favorite room to be in personally. So I think it's how can I now bring that and like encourage and make. So many times, we're asked to, we feel that our authentic selves just won't be accepted, and I encourage everyone to not do that, and to live in their truth and speak in their truth, no matter how it sounds or may look and feel to other people. And if people get uncomfortable, let them get uncomfortable. That's, where growth comes from.
So this is something that is like extremely tangible for people who are bilingual and bicultural, such as me. I'm gonna do a whole other episode on being multilingual and being an actor, and having an accent, not having an accent, working to get rid of your accent, and having a specific dialect, and being tongue-tied, and being an tongue-tied. See? Don't make assumptions about people's skill set or experiences. Enter into college being ready and hungry to be constantly surprised by everyone around you every day. For a lot of us, when you get to college, it's the first time that you're really interacting with a lot of people that are like really different from you, obviously, because you're geographically all thrown together. And it is very important for everyone, no matter how you personally identify, to get really used to not making assumptions about what anyone's particular skill set or lived experience could be. Have you ever had any moments, Chris, where you feel like people just kind of assume that you would know something?
You know what? I have a really great story about this, actually, that this just popped up. I was doing a summer stock, I will not say their name, with a director whose name I also will not say, but we were doing Aida. And those of you know, we're at Dance of the Robe, big climax, big number, very important moment in the plot. And obviously it's all Black people on stage, the Nubians, and we're all like warming up, we're in a big dance number, ready to learn Dance of the Robe. And he looks at us and goes, I just want you people to do what you people do. I know it's hilarious because you can't make this up. So yeah. We're gonna play the song, and I just want you people to do what you people do. And I was like, wait, what? This can't be it. I was like, this is not real life. But all that to say, you can't make assumptions about people's experiences, and it's like, not every Black person grew up in the Baptist church, not every Black person is from the South,
let's start with Aida. It's like, how many people have actually like been to Africa at all?
Excuse me? At all?
Are you literally Nubian? Like, hello, it's such a, first of all, that wording, you people, very othering, so already you're like, yes. Not a good way to start.
Yes.
If you show up somewhere with an identity, and then someone says, but the price of entry for that identity is X, Y, and Z, just because that's what I saw on television.
Right.
and then you happen to not do that. For example, someone who is adopted, they might be from like Korea, but then they've never, really like connected to that culture just because they happen to be like adopted to a family in Texas that happen to be white. And then you say, well, you don't speak Korean and you're not Korean. That's like, A, not okay, B, like, can be kind of harmful, and C, not your place at all.
Right.
And then when it comes to things like, you need to sing this way, you need to dance this way, you need to speak this way, yeah, it's just extremely limiting and less fun.
Way less fun.
Yeah. This is important for every single person, no matter how you identify. Get comfortable with being wrong. Get comfortable with being told that something that you said yesterday was actually based in bad logic and that it might have been hurtful. Get used to that, because you know what? You're gonna do it, and you are only responsible to how you respond when you are being told that what you said was wrong. Okay? You're forming a very close, tight-knit family, and because our work is like about the human experience, it will inevitably get really personal, and sometimes, you'll blurt something out and then later go, oh, I don't think I should have done that. That was a little strange. Or sometimes you say something and like, you don't even know that it's weird. If someone approaches you and says, hey, I just want to ask you why you said this, because this is what it sounded like to me. And you go, oh my God, you're so right. I thought it was going to be like this and I just made a joke and like, I feel so awkward, I'm so sorry. What can I do to make it better? What should I say next time? You're right. This logic is faulty. Like, you just turn a weird, awkward situation into like a beautiful learning moment. There is no one I respect more than someone who can say, you're right, I messed up, and I will do better tomorrow. I'm sorry, thank you for letting me know, and never again. Also, another superpower about being wrong is that once you have started evolving within yourself, you can then look at other people and say, I remember when I thought that. And you're expressing something that I have since learned is actually like not based in reality, and it's actually kind of hurtful to my friends. So I can come from a place of, hey, what you just said, I used to think that too, and here's why it's wrong. And then you can just kind of multiply the allyship, This is the superpower that the white allies have. And as someone who sometimes lives in that white ally space, I can tell you that it is actually incredibly powerful. I've had moments actually recently working with a friend on like an audition tape, and she was being very positive and she was like, oh my God, this is so good. This is like, you're like a foreign film. And I was like, oh my God, wow, thank you. And then like an hour later, she was like, hey, I don't think that came from a good place. Like, it was a compliment, but it came from this like perceived notion that you would like never be in an American film or something. And I was like, oh my God, I hadn't even thought of it. And I took it as a compliment, but also, you're right. Like,
right.
We just assume that I'm gonna be in a foreign film. Like, I don't know. And to approach it with that, like, I love you as a person first and foremost, and obviously as an artist, is like the most important part.
Yes, I think I was in a conversation with two people from Michigan actually, and they were both black, and I said something in the chat, and then I was like, wait, was that bad? Like, did that come across badly? And I literally like ate myself up about it for hours. I was texting one of the people in the chat. I was like, was that offensive? Like, I didn't mean that in an offensive way at all. He was like, no, I didn't take it that way at all. But I think it's so important to like check yourself and like have the humility to be like, okay, I didn't mean that. Thank you for teaching me that was wrong. Like, you know what I mean? But also just don't say it if you think it's questionable.
Okay, and we have arrived to our final point. This is the most important thing that I want to stress, is that when you're in a collegiate environment, you are paying a lot of money to get an incredible education that should not be any lesser than any of your white counterparts. So every day that you're in college is an opportunity to start practicing the muscle of advocating for yourself. Because I would say that, at least in college, there are systems in place where like you are owed something. Once you get into the real world, in a strange way, you're kind of not. So that advocating muscle is something that you're just kind of like left on your own to exercise. So anytime that you feel like you are not getting your money's worth of your education, you can say, well, that's like theft, and I need to go ask to get what I paid for. If that means getting, more master classes, or getting more specified attention in class, or not getting assigned, tokenized material, whatever it is that you need to stretch yourself as an artist, because this is not about getting a Broadway performance. You're in school. This is just about the growth itself. Then that's an opportunity to go to a teacher and say, hey, I need this, and be quite shameless about it. And I think the people that I really admire, Jess is one of them, that have done that for themselves, have like gotten really good results and have probably gotten like a better, education in the long run because they went and did that. So Jess, how did you find the strength to do that when it's like kind of weird?
Yes, I mean, I think when I first started university, I was so shy, so definitely it was a work in progress, but I will say, like, you won't be able to find your own voice if you don't practice using it, and sometimes you're going to use it and you're going to be like, that was too aggressive, or I asked for something in a way that I feel self-conscious about, but it's so important that you learn to speak up for yourself, not only in situations where you're uncomfortable, but exactly what you're saying, in situations where you feel like there's something that you need or something that you want. You shouldn't be afraid to ask for it. And if everyone turns you down, then that is when you can literally create your own opportunities. And you shouldn't have to do this, but if you can, and then take credit for it, your professors will see that it is very possible to give you the education that you need to succeed. And I think, like, just don't take no for an answer. Like, it's something that I really learned at university. Like, don't be afraid to set yourself up for what you think will make you successful, or the things that like in your gut you need to be a successful performer, to be a successful artist, or even just to be a successful student. And just know that those things that you implement and those steps that you take will actually create really fertile ground for the people who come after you, or even the students who are below you in the years below you, and might even give them the courage to say something in future years, or to feel like they have the agency to use their own voices too.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Because you want to leave the place better than you found it. And if you set
Exactly.
a precedent for, oh, maybe I shouldn't keep handing out this one song that I've given to every brown girl that's walked through these doors, then cool. Then, like, next year I'll have 3 songs or 4 songs to, Yeah, it's just, it's only going to get better as we go on.
Mm-hmm.
Out in the real world, no one technically owes you anything, so you have to go out and advocate with, like, the sweat on your back. At least in college, you can say, like, hey, here's my tuition dollars, you owe me this. And guess what? Like, most people, at least right now, are really, really, really trying to do better. Better is not good enough quite yet. And here's the other thing. The gag of it all is that out here in the real world, it's actually getting a lot better. Like, I would say casting on a whole is just completely trying to overturn itself every day. Once you graduate and you move to, like, New York or Los Angeles, these cities are just so much more diverse and so much more indicative of the world as a whole. And what I'm trying to say is that if you're having a very isolated experience in a historically white college, it gets better. It gets so much better.
I definitely think there's a lift post-graduation, because, you enter the real world and you never know what to expect. So your career will take you wherever it's going to take you. And I think you'll find that there's a lot more you can do than your professors might have told you or think, or you might even think about yourself. And I think you'll come to surprise yourself, because I certainly did.
There were specific, roles that I remember, senior year talking about, like, could I do that? Probably not. And then, like, I've gone in for them and sometimes, like, played them. Like,
Mm-hmm.
And that is such a crazy thing that within just a year of, being in a different environment, you get to see that as slow as it is, the business out here in the real world is changing. And while these programs are obviously incredibly important to go spend 4 years and, like, really get that training in, a lot of the confines that they have, because they're just so steeped in, the time that they were created, is actually changing way more rapidly. So that's
I would agree.
News.
Yes, there is good news. There is hope.
Yes.
There is life after college.
There's life after college, good Lord.
Yes.
I want to leave you with a little bit of a thought experiment, which is actually a question that was posed at the Broadway for Black Lives Matter forum on miseducation that happened here on YouTube a few months back. And that central question is, what kind of artist would I be if the constraints of race had never been put upon me? But my greatest wish is that if you are a young artist and you're just launching into this career, whatever field that might be and where it might take you, we live in a world where a lot of limits are going to be put upon you, and I don't want you to put any limits upon you. You know what I mean? Yeah? Yeah? Thank you so much to our guests, Jess, Chris, Talia. Thank you, you're amazing. And please subscribe, you guys. We got some hard-hitting journalism coming your way, and I would love for you to see it all. So subscribe, like, comment. Also, if anything here helped you, like, please let us know. If there's anything that you're like, wait, actually, I don't really understand what a microaggression is, like, ask the questions, post the comments, like the likes, like the likes, and I'll see you next week. Bye! Okay, so College Confidential is that forum on the internet where all these kids and their moms are talking about every school. And sometimes people are desperately looking for answers, and some very well-meaning people try to answer them, and sometimes they're dead wrong, and we're here to write that. So